talking about Zach Moe, who is coming to be our speaker tonight. He's on his way. Come on,
So the first thing that I would tell you, I don't work on a campaign, but I did watch some of the news. I don't know if you're aware, but Iran actually attacked our cybersecurity. How many people are aware that they actually attacked our water system?
You talking about that executive?
Yeah. So even right here in our area, Cape May City itself was attacked, which is where Zach is the. So what's that? Hacked, right? And I think it's important to recognize that some of these things that are just like sort of out there in the world are right here, and they're right now. Well, one of the things that you and I spoke about, Councilman, recently on the show, I get a phone call every single day about homelessness on Atlantic Avenue, and lately it's been homelessness on Central Avenue, right in the alley back there. And there's a couple things that I think it's important to discuss. The first thing is this. I think it's important that everyone understand how hard everybody involved is working on this issue, which is not me saying that the problem is getting solved, because when I tell you that I'm not any more satisfied than you are, I mean it. But I just want to take a minute to have the conversation that Councilman, you and I have had the opportunity to have in the past, which is this. And I think Chief Sarkos puts it best. When he looks at a person sitting on a bench and they've got a bunch of bags around them, whether those bags are from Neiman Marcus or whether those bags are from Walmart and they've got all their possessions in the world, that person has to look the same to the police, right? And so we can't look at somebody and treat them differently, not because of how they look and not because of how they smell. So we've drifted over the last year and a half or so to push a lot of those calls for service from the police to our outreach partners, right? And we have some really great outreach partners. I don't know how many of you are familiar with our red shirts under Director Barnes that go out and their whole job is homelessness outreach. We've also engaged through the city community support partners and CSPNJ. And if you're in my office, we call them the PBJs, but don't do that because it'll get stuck in your head. But the PBJs are great. They come out, they're a state-funded resource. They come out and they engage with our homeless population as well. And here's the thing, for all of us, when we say homeless, we don't actually know what their status is, right? What we're talking about is people that, whether it's mental illness, whether it's drug addiction, or whether it's that they're unhoused, it all sort of looks kind of the same when they're sort of there on the porch of the building where you want it to be and now they are. We're at a real impasse, and I just want to be honest with you about it. I had a call today, and they said, Sean, there's a real problem at this particular place. And there's a real problem at this particular place with people that are there that are not supposed to be there. And let me rephrase, with people that we don't want to be there. And the problem was the young kids are being squeezed out of a park, right? We'll say, by these folks that are just sitting there. And they're sitting there, and they're probably high, maybe they're drunk, maybe they're addicted, maybe they're talking to themselves, maybe they're talking to whomever, but they're awake, they're not actively using drugs, they're not in possession of an alcohol container, right, to where they can be written summons. This is what I got back. Sean, there's nothing I can do. And I got that from our HHS partners, I got that from our paid vendor partners, and I got that from our police. And where we are is that we need to come together to recognize that some of these problems have become political problems. Because we've gotten to a place where there was a time when, let's just be honest, these folks were in jail, right? I think I've spoken to you all before. In the 90s when I started at the jail, those people were in jail. And so we didn't have to worry about them because they were in jail. We didn't have to think about them because they were in jail. And that's not where those people should be, and I'm not suggesting. We need to lead with compassion, there's no question. But we also need to come together on some sort of an answer about what it is that we think about this as a community. Because the text message and the emails that I get, the phone calls that I get, I understand where they're coming from. Sean, I'm so frustrated. And often, and it's okay to talk to me this way, they are laden with profanity because these are people that know me and they're frustrated, and I get it. But I want to be honest with you. We are in a place where, absent some legislative changes, if I come up, I'll pick on Rosie because it's fun. And Rosie is in the park, and Rosie is drunk, and Rosie is talking to herself, and Rosie smells some kind of way, and your kids are playing. Folks, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I'm telling you, I'm stuck. Because if Rosie doesn't want help, and she doesn't, she wants to stay right there and drink her whiskey that's in her purse, and we can't see it, and she wants to sit there. We are at a place where we are out of options, and unfortunately, our social service partners who are trying, these people are saints. I mean, they are trying everything to get folks into services, to get folks into care. If those folks don't want care, and they're not committing an offense, we are not going to move them. We are not. It's a violation. It's somewhere between a violation of their civil rights and honestly it's unethical and I won't participate, right? But we have a real problem here. We need to find legislative solutions with our legislators, with our city councils, with our politicians, because we've gotten to a place where there is not a simple sort of policy, hey, just take the thing and go do the stuff. There's not a, Charlie, this is what you got to go do, and you just go do it, right? When our police officers say, hey, Sean, what are we going to do? So I want to tell you guys this, because I think when I stand in this room in particular, you are the most engaged people in Atlantic City. I mean, you really are. You're the folks that I see at everything else. So I know this is the most engaged group. We're going to continue to make contact with those folks, because that's our job. And what I say to our police officers is, just go make contact with them. Say hello, ask them if they need anything, make sure that they're okay, ask them if they'll move along. You know, if they want to, then that's great. And that's as far as it's going to go. And our service providers are going to go and ask them if they can give them any services. And if they don't want services and they're not committing an offense, we're stuck. And I just don't think it's fair to come to those sort of conclusions and not share them with you. So, honest to goodness, if you all have ideas, I'm listening. But under the current set of legislation and the rules that we have, I do not know that we can do much better than this. And when I tell you that I'm not satisfied with my answer either, I'm not. I don't like it. But somewhere in there between the rights of the kids who want to use those parks, and should be open and able to use those parks, and the human beings who are drug addicted, who are experiencing mental illness, who are having real problems, and who are unhoused, there should be an answer. But what I'm telling you is I'll continue to answer the phone. I will always answer the phone. And we'll continue to send our officers and our outreach workers out there, but we're not at a place where we know what to do. Commissioner, I see.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, Sean, because I'm going to discuss it at our